Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, what's going on? We got a good show for you here. JP Connelly is our guest. So that makes 3 Connellys here, competing against the Riley brothers. I often refer to Will Hugh and Michael Riley, and well, their dad's a PGA pro. So 4 golf pros in the Riley family. I sometimes refer to them as the first family of golf in Philadelphia, but the Connellys could make a run at them too. 2 golf professionals, and Tara Joy Connelly, who was our guest last week on Party Time, My Golf Story. So we're going to complete the Connelly trio, if you will, because they're interesting people, deeply immersed in the game of golf on the service level, on the competitive level, on and on it goes. I think you're really going to enjoy the conversation with JP coming up in just a moment. First, a little housekeeping I have to take care of. First of all, thank you for your continued support of the podcast. We are now right around 6,000 subscribers. And I say at the beginning of each show, I know it may be a little bit annoying, but it's necessary, so just bear with me. Please, if you haven't subscribed to the show, do it. Share the show with somebody, because I think if you're watching, you'd like it. And we hang out with similar people who have similar interests, our friends who play golf. So share the episode with them, leave some comments, rate it, and support our sponsors as well. Title sponsor of this program is Party Time. It's a golf signature. It's a golf drink for golfers by golfers. Signature golf cocktails. If you're tired of having beer on the golf course or some other hard seltzer or whatever your cocktail of choice is, try a Party. Mix it up a little bit. I know you'll love it, especially Transfusion, far and away our number 1 seller. And if your dream is to live on a golf course in the greater Sarasota area at a place like Lakewood National Golf Club, where this podcast originates from, and soon to be coming Calusa Country Club right across the street, nobody better than the golf real estate pros of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties. All right, let's bring JP on board here. I got to tell you, brother, you got your work cut out for you. And I know that you were listening in as your wife and I did our recording. So hope you got your big boy pants on. How's it going, my friend?
Oh, it's great, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to catch up. It's been a while.
Well, I know where you're coming from because Tara mentioned that before, but and I didn't get around to it. The room behind you, that is so damn groovy. Who is the decorator of that? And why don't you just give us a feel for what I'm looking at? I see guitars on the wall. I see other stuff. It looks cool as hell. And the fireplace going too.
Yeah, no, it's great. We've had some travels over our years, and things will catch our eyes, and we're like, that would look great here. We got to try that. So we got some horns from Wyoming above the TV. The vertical guitar in the background was from Santa Fe. The other one on the wall just has some amazing saying, a lot of lyrics from songs that everyone will know. So we like to decorate the house with things like that.
Yeah, you guys are into the art scene. I know you're a passionate photographer. We can get into that too, but primarily this is a golf podcast. So let's start with that. Where does your golf journey begin?
I had the really unique experience growing up. My dad, Jack, was a longtime club professional at Huntingdon Valley. And what a great experience to have the opportunity to have that as a kid. And I look back on it now, and Dad tried to get me going early in the game when I was 4 or 5. And, just for some reason, whether I'm, only child, very much of an introvert, socially, whatnot at the time, I just never felt comfortable in the club environment. Just always felt a little bit out of place. So, each year the club would have an annual father-son tournament. And, I joked that my dad would drag me to play in this. And, it was all, Dad's a very accomplished player. So it was some kind of, alternate shot. I think it was Chapman. And so him being a great player and me being a novice, there were a lot of sorries. And, it's just always a little bit tough to be around. So I remember I was 11 years old and actually had a pretty good go and enjoyed it enough where I think I surprised the hell out of my mother that had her drop me off at the course the next day. And this was huge. So I'm walking down to the golf shop at Huntingdon Valley Country Club and, feeling out of place and whatnot, and walking past this wall where we got these, veteran grizzly, weathered caddies, walking past 30 of them. And Dad's in the doorway of the golf shop. And he said, enough for everyone to hear, "Junior, what are you doing here? You don't have to be here for another 364 days. And of course that got, a chuckle from all the caddies and, made me even a little more insecure. But I bravely went behind the golf shop counter, grabbed 2 bags of balls. I marched down to the practice range. And I literally remember that was the point where it became an everyday, all day love affair with the game. And, really at that point, came to it a second time on my own, which we can certainly get into. But, long story short, coming back the next year at age 12, we shot 66 in that Chapman format, and I was hooked for life.
Wow, that's a great story. And I know I played in one of those. Okay, I don't know if it's your first one or your second one, but did you kind of was part of playing in it or like being around your dad? Was it just an opportunity to spend more time with your dad because head professionals? He had a demanding job. It's a lot of time away from home.
Yeah, I think, when I was young, I really, again, coming back to being so introverted, and my dad naturally is, very much of the people person. So I think, I really was trying to find a way to connect with him and, to make him proud, like any son would want to do. So yeah, that was really ultimately, as I look back on it now, I think it really was a vehicle to spend more time with him, which was as demanding as the job was. There were a couple afternoons a week, we'd go play 9 holes. And, as I look in the role I'm doing now, I know it's hard to balance the time. And, I'm certainly thankful for him making time to do that with me.
Take me back to the old neighborhood. Just describe the neighborhood, the street you grew up on, and what life was like back then.
Boy, it's crazy, kind of hitting the half-century mark here this summer. A lot of these things take on different chapters in your mind, and that really was a great first chapter for me. 2185 Schaefer Road, Abington, Pennsylvania. Lived on this little cul-de-sac, and it was a great spot to grow up. We had a lot of other kids in the neighborhood, and like kids of that generation, there was always something going on. I was a huge fan of hockey, and we always had pickup games out in front of the house. It was safe. There really wasn't a lot of traffic. A lot of the times, the adults in the neighborhood would come out and join us. Interestingly enough, my next door neighbor growing up was George Forster, who was the longtime club pro at, I think it was Radnor Valley. And George had a couple of sons, and we throw them in net. And George's son now is the club pro at Country Club at Detroit. And we've had some discussions over the years. They hosted the U.S. Senior Amateur the year before we did at Cohasset. So it's nice to kind of rekindle that relationship. But yeah, it was a great neighborhood to grow up in.
Now, the proximity to Abington High School and Abington Junior High School, how close was it?
Super close, walking distance. And it was great. So as I got a little bit older, I mean, that worked out to be perfect, just walking distance, and had a group of friends we could, go to each day. So really, really good.
All right. So did you peer over the fence and take in some of the sports activities when you were younger and say, someday I'm going to be there and I'm going to be doing that stuff too?
It's funny. You had the baseball field there, football, a lot of track and field. There was this sense that I would like to do something like that, and that's where I think I got so attracted to golf, is that kind of being very self-reliant and kind of introverted. I just, like I said, I love playing hockey, but I really wasn't into the team sport. So golf gave me a great vehicle to be able to do something that was competitive, kind of, for my own spirit, so to speak.
Did you have a pet duck growing up?
Yeah. So this was,
yeah. What? I've never heard of anybody that had a pet duck. There's got to be a story behind it. What's up?
So my mother was from Austria. She grew up on a chicken farm, and before I started playing golf, she worked at a local insurance agency. And one of the people she worked with said, had a farm and had ducks, and said, Inga, do you want to take a duck or two home? And I was an enthusiastic kid. I think I was 7 or 8 at the time. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, it'd be great. I'll take care of it. I promise to do this and that, like most kids do. And sure enough, the next day I'm off doing something else. But my mother, I don't know, it just kind of took her back to her roots, and she just bonded with it. And up until the time, even where I went through college, I remember there always being a pair of ducks around the house. And quite literally, like she would make baby pools, the plastic baby pools. She changed the water every day. I remember she ordered organic hay from Oregon, for their pens. And my dad's like, what are you doing? We kept joking that we wanted to be reincarnated as one of her ducks. So, Duck always ate dinner before we did. It was great.
But could you bond with it? Is there any comparisons to like a dog or a cat that you could cuddle with them? Or
in most cases, no. But I actually think it was one of the really neat things with Mom, and it was a great lesson, to see as a kid, is that she was such a loving person, and to the extent that those bonds could be developed with a duck, she had it. And she would cuddle with it, and she would bring it in the house at points, and it would show affection, which is, normally they're very skittish and they'll run away from you. But I think it really just went to show her gentle nature, and was great for me to see.
Well, were they nipping at your heels though? I mean, did they not like you, or just clearly not the relationship?
No, I think most of the time, unless you're there all the time and you develop that bond, like any animal with trust. But I think for some reason it takes them a little bit longer. I don't think they're really meant to be domesticated, but she did a pretty darn good job.
They probably looked at her as their mother, and that's cute. So you talked about like going to Huntingdon Valley for the first time and playing in the father-son events and everything. Tell me this though, give me the inside story on what it's like to be the son of a golf pro, because clearly people would know who you are as opposed to some of the other children of members there. Did you ever feel like you were walking on eggshells, or maybe have more eyeballs on you and you had to be on your P's and Q's like twice as much as everybody else because of that relationship with your dad and his employment at the club?
Yeah, I think even at that young age, I definitely got that sense. And, for what it's worth, I was a pretty straight-laced kid growing up. I was terrified of my father, and in fact, in some ways still am. I like to joke, I literally went through 4 years of college without having a drink. So, I just always felt like I was on my best behavior. I do remember one story when I was getting started playing golf. really young, like before I really liked it. And there was a junior member at the club, Pat Gaffney, and my dad's like, look, can you take him out? Can you just do this for me? And I don't remember this, but Pat swears that I got frustrated and I took a massive chunk out of the 16th green at Huntingdon Valley, and he was just like aghast. So I don't remember it. And Pat, I'm sorry you had to cover for me. But
you talk about being terrified of your dad. I was terrified of your dad because he scolded me like I was his own son. And here's the deal, JP, I deserved it because I was doing something that I was pushing the envelope all the time and he was having none of it. But I think it was a different time back then where if your parents weren't around, the adult like assumed the role of a parent and made sure you were held to accounts. And I never felt that it was unfair in any way because I was clearly in the wrong almost all the time. And I respected him for that because he'd be like, Kev, you know you're not supposed, what are you doing? And we get that high pitched voice going. Yeah.
He'd be on the porch at Huntingdon Valley, and if you were hitting irons off the woods only tee, forget it.
I did that too. Full confess. And I may have hooked some over into the tennis courts by accident on purpose because there may have been some pretty girls over there, and just it's just the dumb shit I did back in the day. So when did you? So you got hooked on golf and everything, and you got like an incredible education about what you might be getting yourself into. When did you start thinking, "Hey, this is for me. I'm going to turn pro"?
Yeah, I think right out of college, I tried to play competitively for a year, like Tara did, and really, lack of talent, no question. But I knew that I loved the game and I loved people, and I wanted to find a way to kind of stay involved with it. So I began my journey to become a PGA professional. It's interesting, kind of coming up through the ranks is a young kid working in the bag room, and I caddy a bit at Huntingdon. And it's funny, as a kid when I was focused on playing, I had a bit of a punkish side. I didn't want to work. I wanted to be playing. I wanted to be getting better. I wanted to be working on my game and kind of always on that competitive juice. In fact, I remember graduating my first job down at Hawks Nest. I literally resented the fact that I had to work. I wanted to play golf. And, it was exactly the kind of person that, I would never tolerate in our operations right now, self-absorbed, self-focused, and so, but the industry really turned that around for me quite quickly.
The story that you're telling about just wanting to play and just having your selfish motive, I just think that's totally normal. And that's and to be a competitive golfer, that being a professional golfer is one of the most selfish journeys of all, because so much of your time, I remember Brandel Chambly saying it, a touring professional is either practicing or he's feeling guilty about not practicing. And ultimately, was it that you said, this may just be a little too much for me, and you moved away from the competitive side and got into the service side of things?
Well, I joke about it that with the talent, and it's the truth. I mean, I was a decent player in my day, but I was never going to be great like I dreamed that. Most kids dream that they would be. What's been neat for me in this journey is, throughout my time, I've been around people that do have that desire. And really, that was a great experience down at Johns Island Club. And, there were a lot of kids that would come down and work the bag drop and would try and be playing. And, we had one year where we had 3 of our assistants playing the PGA Championship, which to do so, you had to finish in the top 20 in the National Club Pro. Quite a testament. I'm not sure it's ever happened, but to kind of be attached and watch what these guys are doing and committing on their journey. And it was really this balance that as a leader of an operation and trying to kind of manage the spirits of the rest of the team, there was always kind of a eyebrow raised of someone that was they're not pulling their weight, or they're always doing this. But the fruits of the labor are incredible, and it's a selfish journey to be a great player. But it's the rewards are at the end of it. But you have to have some great support through family and friends that will help you get there. And I just, to me, I enjoy people too much. I don't think that's part of my DNA, even if I had the talent.
It's interesting because I know you enjoy people and you love helping them out and being around them. And I just think it's just a metamorphosis of you, because you talked about being so introverted when you were younger that eventually you got comfortable being uncomfortable, and then it just became natural to you. But it really wasn't. It took a lot of work. You mentioned the support of family and your mother and the loving side that she had with the ducks and everything. I never had a chance to meet your mother, and that is my loss, that I wasn't fortunate enough to do that. How supportive of you and your dad was she, knowing that a lot of time the commitment to golf is so great?
Yeah, it was incredible. So, Mom really wasn't much of a golfer, and I was super close with her growing up. I really was. And, the things that you don't realize as a kid, as I look back on it, when I started playing golf and having her drop me at the course literally every day, that's when, the relationship just changed. We weren't spending quite the time that we always had. She never said a thing about it. And, it really was a sacrifice because, she's got her husband that's at work all day. And now her only son is, away all day doing this. And she's just incredible that way. Would never say anything about it. So much admiration for what she did. She was just so quiet and humble in the way she lived her life. She passed away in the winter of 2023. But I always kind of use the example that growing up in Austria, she very quietly went about and earned her master's degree from Temple University in English. And so just having the admiration to get any type of degree that's not in your native tongue, just so much respect. And that's kind of the way that she lived her life, very quiet, very humble. And, I'm always trying to tap into that.
Yeah, that's beautifully said right there. So meeting Tara, all right, what's the ice cream story? All right. She told it, but I want to see if it squares with your version and the gambling that you guys did.
Oh yeah. A lot of gambling. Well, Tara and I really represent the perfect yin and yang. So she certainly has a little more gravitas with her game and a little more bravado with it. So yeah, we met at Hawks Nest in Vero Beach, really our first job out of college. And we were both trying to still play professionally at the time. And so we'd play almost every afternoon if we had the opening shift. And, it was great. We had a lot of folks that were like-minded, and we always kind of, like growing up at Huntingdon Valley, we were so lucky that we had, always a game around. So we'd go play golf, and she'd play a lot of the guys for dollars, and she'd obviously won most of the time. So she'd have them sign their name on the dollar and pin it up to the work schedule. And
that's such a power move. God, what a flex that is.
So yeah, it finally at one point, we'd been dating for a couple of weeks, and I finally nipped her, and I made the comment to say I think I closed her out on 17, and I was young and stupid. I said, gee, I never thought I'd be so happy to beat a girl. And so, in famous lines, what a fool I used to be. And so I don't think she talked to me for a couple of weeks, but I somehow rebounded. But we used to play for ice cream instead. And everyone thought I was a hell of a player because my name was never up on the work schedule.
Yeah, well, we could call it the wall of shame, but there's no shame in losing to Tara. I've lost to her. So and I'll probably lose to her again next time unless she gives me the strokes. But she's going to give me the strokes. I mean, come on.
If you can get them, you need to negotiate for me.
Well, I need. Okay, I'll do that. I will be your lobbyist because I care. But the other thing, it's not just the strokes. I mean, are we playing different tees? Are we playing the same tees? I mean,
no.
How did this go down? Like when you were playing against her?
Yeah, typically, I mean, we play the same tees, and we still do. We don't get to play a whole lot of golf together now, but I'm getting shorter by the year, and typically just play the white tees, and that's where she'll play as well. And granted, she gets to play a lot more than I do, but she'll take me 9 out of 10 times. I have to be at my Sunday best to maybe nip her by a shot.
Yeah, you do, because she's a competitor. She's good, and then she's a competitor, and she's not going to make it easy on you.
No.
Let's talk about a couple milestones. Do you remember breaking 80 for the first time, or walk me through some tipping points in your golfing life where you just felt like you crossed a barrier?
Yeah, it's amazing how vivid some of those things come back to you. I do. Remember just the fact that I did break 80. I remember the first time I did it, I shot 76. And so, you always hear this thing, you're trying to reach a goal. And normally when you do it, you don't just squeak by. You normally kind of slash it with a sledgehammer. You break through.
I'll say 76. Holy crap. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah. I remember the first time I broke 70. I was it's probably 16 or so, maybe even 15, around Huntingdon Valley, playing the blue tees. And of course, I'm playing alone. And so I always think of that. I think it was the USGA commercial. Back in the day, they'd always play during the US Open. Little kids playing by himself, makes a hole in one. No one's around. Sure enough, superintendent comes out and buys the kid a Coke. He sees it. So, I remember at the time, all of us juniors were we're always doing something crazy with our putting, trying to find the magic secret. So I was using this Ping B90, which was, the first iteration of a long putter. It looked like a hot dog on the end of a long shaft. And quite literally, I'm 6 under par through 12 holes, playing by myself from the blue tees at Huntingdon Valley. And I'm thinking, no one is going to believe this. And of course, I coughed a couple up coming in. I shot 68, but I just remember, the high that I felt. It was like, the hole was a peach basket. Everything was going in, and it was just a magic feeling, and it's addictive. And that's, to Tara's point, it really drives home the competitive juices, and you want more of that and figure out how to get it.
Take me to the last hole. So where are you on 18? Because the 18th hole at Huntingdon Valley is, from all the way back, is about 420 uphill, plays about 470. What are you feeling, and what are you trying to do to just get a good round in the house?
So the pin there was in the back right corner where Scott Anderson always had it. And,
sucker pin. That
big bunker right in front, and you just have, visions of glory of just kind of hitting this, butter fade, 3-iron in there. Sure enough, I came up a little bit short on the front collar, so had this 2-ridge tier to get back. And I remember, hitting kind of a, mediocre chip shot at best. And I had a 10-footer, and I'm kind of scolding myself walking up, saying, I'm really going to blow this round. And I remember making the last putt for that, which was huge. So, that's it.
Wait a minute. So you're sweating it out that
I'm going the other way.
Yeah, that you're going to be north of 70, where probably you're in this. Just get me in the 60s.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So I got it up and down for par and shot 68, but it goes to, at any level, the mental battles that we have with ourselves. I remember a qualifying round I was playing in college at Florida Southern. I was 6 under through 5 holes, and I didn't break par. And that kind of summed up my college career at Florida Southern. But we just, we can be our own worst enemies for sure.
You talked about playing alone. I enjoy that. I know some people hate it. What was your experience with it?
I loved it. And what a great environment at Huntingdon Valley to do that. Ironically, what I would love is when, it'd be the shoulder seasons or the winter, or we'd have a rainy day. And I'd throw on the rain gear knowing that I'd have the golf course to myself. And I just couldn't get enough of it. I absolutely loved it. And what a great golf course to grow up on and learn the game. Just to this day, all the golf that I've had the chance to play, absolutely still in my top 5 anywhere.
Me too. If I had one round of golf to play, it might be at Huntingdon Valley, just because of all the memories, the things that you talked about. I felt like when you were describing coming down or coming up 18, because it's an uphill hole, and you got a good round going and you want to get the round in the house. The first time I broke 70 was at Huntingdon Valley, and I was 1 under going into 18. I'm just like, just get the ball in the fairway, get it on the. I just wanted par. I'm just. And back then for me, it was like a driver and a 3-wood. So I got it on, had a slick 20-foot downhill putt. I was pin high and I was just lagging that baby up, and it kept going and it fell in. And I just was over the moon. Wow. Over the moon. Just such a nice feeling. And then to tell my dad about it. So I imagine you told your dad about it. What was his reaction?
Yeah, I think kind of always, again, back to, being an only child and, being very different personalities, kind of always looking for that seal of approval, which was, hard earned with them. And that's just kind of, a little bit the generation, and they don't give it up easily. And, it brings me back to, one of my fondest memories from a playing side. It's never, again, great player, but I played a lot of junior golf growing up. And I had one year, I was probably 19 or 20, and I made it to the finals of the Philadelphia Amateur. And, this was at the time held down at Atlantic City Country Club. And, I remember Dad called up the Fraziers who were operating it down there, and he, arranged for me to get a room, down at the course. And, I'd check out every morning thinking I'm going to lose. And, sure enough, I'd win my match, and I'd check back in and, go through, and I, just kind of magically am kind of, carving my way through these matches. And the finals happened to be a few days later, actually during Father's Day, and Dad, took the day off, and it might be his only day that he's ever taken off, but to take a weekend and Father's Day, and he caddied for me, and it was terrific. Again, just a magic week. And I had a great match playing Jim Kenya, lost on the 35th hole, but, gave him everything that I could. And, he talked about kind of making your dad proud. I had overheard him on the phone, a couple days later, talking to, Philly golf legend Gordon Brewer. And, I remember Dad saying, boy, he was hitting shots that I couldn't hit in my prime. And, that to me was like really good validation, and meant a lot to me.
Oh my God. If there's a son alive that doesn't want to make his dad proud, I don't know who he is. I mean, it's all about that. And making your dad proud, as good of a player as he was, it had to make you feel double over
Definitely.
the moon. So I ask everybody this question, and now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I'm not asking it appropriately. I ask them, what would life be like without golf in it? Maybe the better way to ask that question is, what does golf mean to your life?
Golf is everything. And, I don't come at that lightly, because in my early years, I couldn't imagine golf being any part of my life. And so for a socially awkward kid, it gave me really the structure that I needed and the framework. And, again, we're kids around the club, and, we're having to dress properly. We're having to behave well. We're interacting with people that are our elders. And it really just put me on this course, that, helped me blossom into this, having a love of people and this inherent want to, improve people's day that I'm around through the game of golf. And so, it really is everything. And, I put it in perspective in the fact that, I was lucky when I earned my first head professional job at Cohasset. I was there for 15 years. And, at the time, I'm young. The game is everything. My job is everything. And, everything was eat, sleep, breathe, golf, job. And, fast forward a little bit, we transitioned to Florida, took on a different opportunity, and just absolutely hated it where I was at, and ended up being kind of succumbing to financial downturn of a club. And I had this period where I wasn't working, and I had gone so long where golf truly was my identity, which made me come to the fact that this really isn't a healthy perspective. So, I'm very grateful for the fact that, I've had to kind of go through this resurrection with a healthier balance of what the job and the industry mean to me, and try and have a little bit more balance in my life, which ultimately I think, just comes back to making myself ask, what is it that I really like and love about the game and people, and that's kind of where I've arrived at.
JP Connelly, head pro at the Cohasset Club in Merry, Mass, is our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try Party and try a transfusion. JP, I got a confession. So transfusion is like the new golf drink. I don't think I'm telling you something you don't know, but transfusion was a drink at Huntington. It was the drink transfusion was pretty much just limited to the Philadelphia golf scene and the Washington golf scene. And I partook in a couple of transfusions at Huntingdon Valley, trying to be sneaky because it looks like a grape drink. Turns out I wasn't fooling anybody, and nobody cared.
Oh, that's again, that's great. And that's the place. The drink looks awesome. I can't wait to try some. My vice of the day was the cheese dogs down at the halfway house, and that's earned me a cholesterol score of a good bowling score.
Oh, so the halfway house.
Trying to backtrack from that.
The halfway house, like having a hot dog at the turn, sitting out back with your caddy buddy for the day and just shooting the breeze for and we actually took like a decent break. It was like a 10 or 15 minute break. Now all halfway houses, just get your stuff in and get on. No more than 5 minutes. I miss those days. All right, buddy, we're starting to wrap things up here. If you had one tip that you could share about your experience in golf that would make somebody a better golfer, what's your silver bullet? What's the one thing that you think can help most people?
Yeah, I see so many players that really neglect the short game, chipping, pitching, those aspects. They don't require a ton of strength. They don't require a ton of force or speed. I wish I'd see more people be more diligent about their short games, because if you do have a good ball striking round, you can really capitalize. And if you're a little bit off, it can save, for any player, save a round. One of the biggest things that I'll work on with students sometimes is just, improving contact. And one of my favorite drills, I'll put a tee about an inch or two in front of the ball and have the student try and feel like they're going to hit the ball first and have the club continuing down after they strike the shot, and try and get that front tee out of the ground. And first time they do it, if they haven't been able to, it's like the light bulb goes off. This feeling of crispness, it's probably the best contact that they've ever had. And so it translates very well to full swing, but it's a great exercise for, those 50, 60-yard pitch shots as well.
Well said. And as we know, there's a reason why PGA Tour professionals spend 70% of their time on their short game, because that's where the math and the money are.
No doubt.
If you want to be a better player, work on your short game and try that drill that JP just shared with us there. JP, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for being my friend. Thanks for
Kevin, thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks for like all the writing that you share with me. That's we'll get into that next time, because JP's an aspiring writer and a photographer. We'll get to that next time around. But thank you for your service to the game and for putting up with me all those years at Huntingdon Valley. I know I was a handful, but we all grow up, and I think I did, or maybe I will eventually.
JP Connelly, inspiration. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Anytime. JP Connelly, head pro at the Cohasset Club in Marion, Mass, has been our guest here on Party Time. Big thanks to him. Big thanks to Party as the title sponsor, and also to the Golf Real Estate Pros at suncoastdreams.com, Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh. For JP Connelly, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the Golf Real Estate Pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh with the SuncoastDreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoastdreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.